Hey everybody, C.NOTE here, and welcome to Dopamine. My name is Christian. I am a digital producer, which means photo, video, graphic design, and audio production, and I'm also working on becoming a MBTI certified coach, and through that I talk about INTPs quite a bit. I'm here in the Poconos, hanging out. Molly and I are on vacation, but I felt the urge to get some videos done, so I'm here sharing a couple things with you and recording for the month of July. So, this trip has helped me to give me the opportunity to reestablish some routine and think about my routine going forward. Now, as INTPs, we have what's called introverted sensing in our cognitive functions stack, which is our tertiary function. And our introverted sensing is responsible for how we show love and how we respond to stress. But it's also responsible for how we establish some sense of rules for ourselves and routine. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough in the MBTI community, is how that is an opportunity for us to listen to ourselves when we're setting such strict rules for ourselves. Now you can hear, like in the intro, I've been like messing around with what my intro is, trying to figure out where to record, figure out what my routine is, and I have to pay attention to myself often when I'm in a routine of doing some sort of work. When I give myself rules is a part of our streamlining process, and listening to myself when those rules don't work anymore, when they don't feel good, when they are not contributing to creating interesting video, when they're not contributing to interesting content, or making me feel like I'm doing something that's unique and different and fun and talking about interesting topics, right? So we can get into a habit of just, that's really it, it's habits. It's, for INTPs, it's about, since it's our tertiary function, it's something that we're not as elegant in, so we have to be cognizant of when we're setting such strict rules for ourselves that we can't be malleable, we can't adjust. One of the things that sticks out to me is that when I was in DC for the profiler training event with Personality Hacker, and I'm going to be in the one in LA most likely in November, so if you're already signed up for that, I hope to see you there. There was a sense of routine that I had to figure out, and I think that is the joy that we get as INTPs, is figuring out some semblance of routine for ourselves, for the projects that we're working on. Kind of, we need like turn this a little bit. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I was getting distracted by the fact that like all at like half of like a little bit serious and creepy, but the sun's up here. There's not a lot I can do, so it's fine. But that's a situation where I can adjust in the moment and realize, like, you know what, this is not working. Let me fix this, right? And I'm just gonna keep going. But at the profiler training event, I was spending a lot of time setting up multiple cameras, setting up multiple ideas and shoots for us to be able to capture content. And for us to do that, I had to establish a routine. And again, as INTPs, we really enjoy establishing, streamlining routines in some sort of way. What we don't like is having to fulfill those routines, having to do things in such a strict order that it feels boring and restrictive, right? So when we get to a place where we're just repeating the same problem over and over again, or repeating the same routine over and over again, we got to figure out a way to shake it up. That's what was happening to me at the profiler training event. We had 5 days where I basically figured out sort of a routine. Once they were starting each session, I would turn on each camera, I would turn on the recorder for the audio, I would double check everything, and then I would kind of just, sit for the hour and listen. And for me, it was after about day 2 or 3, I was realizing that the routine of it all, while it was a good routine, there was nothing wrong with the routine, it was, for me, having to fulfill the routine of having to check in everything, it was not interesting for my brain. So my brain was taking kind of a back seat, and I was just kind of in automatic mode. And me being in automatic mode never works. It's never worked in jobs. I've been fired from a job for that very same reason. I used to work as a data manager, and you get into a routine of just dealing with scripts and files and just going through the process, and going through the process over and over again. Like, it feels like my brain just goes into low power mode, and it's easy for me to miss things. And I think for other INTPs, it's very similar, or if not completely true. I would love to hear your experience in the comments below. But that's been my experience, is that when I get into a routine that is so strict, or it has to be strict, or it has to be repetitive, then I start to miss things and I start to become disinterested. So finding ways to listen to our introverted sensing and use it as a strength for us to establish a routine, but then be willing to not set such strict rules for ourselves so that we can adjust on the fly and figure out how to best do this, So like for me, I'm still struggling with this camera because it's just too bright, but it's fine. We're gonna adjust and make it work. That's a little better. I can deal with that. So I didn't take time up front to really set this up in a way that's going to be like the absolute best, but it's totally fine. Using our extroverted intuition to allow us to adjust to the moment is what's going to bring out the best in us. It's going to allow us to think clearly and be willing to experiment, be willing to try new things. And once we get into a set of rigid routines and rules for ourselves, we have to learn how to break those rules, right? Like, again, we have to use our introverted sensing and our introverted thinking together to find ways to establish a sense of routine for ourselves, or streamline things, or figure out a process. But we have to be willing to allow our introverted, or our extroverted intuition rather, to come in and break those rules when the situation allows for it, right? Usually we get into a loop when we allow our own rule set that we've created for ourselves to be determined as gospel for ourselves, right? And our willingness to, or our lack of willingness to change, to adapt, to grow, is what's going to keep us in that loop. So I implore you, if you have rules for yourself, and it's good to get into a routine, but to listen to yourself for when that routine is not serving you anymore, when those rules are not serving you anymore. How can you adjust? How can you make changes so that it feels good, it feels better? You're really just like living a better life for yourself. If you're working at a job where it's like repetitive, how can you change it up? How can you change where you're sitting? How can you change the process? How can you maybe even find a way to outsource that job so that all you're focused on is creating systems and not having to implement those systems? Because we're kind of natural calibrators a little bit more, and sometimes visionaries, but I find that integration for us, meaning just like the doing, and just doing repetitively, of course, also is a massive challenge. So at least that's my experience. I would love to hear more of your experience so that we can connect these dots and see if it's not just conjecture, and see if it's something that's resonating with you. I'm not here to tell you that these are absolutes. This is all research, right? This is me giving you advice, but it's also a bit of research for me to figure out if this is actually resonating with you. So I would love to know. If you leave a comment below, let me know what you think of this situation. Do you set rules for yourself? What does that mean? Is that something that has caused you issues? Have you had a hard time breaking out of some routines that you feel are not working for you? Or breaking out of relationships that are not working for you because you're just coasting, right? So be aware. What are situations when you're just coasting, and how can you get out of that, right? So with that in mind, I want you to consider Cosmic Calibration, which is a course, 15 segments of me talking for 45 minutes, not video, it's audio. So you can take it with you as a podcast. And it's all advice from me and things that I've experienced in my life through relationships, career, family, and mental health, and all of this stuff, as we can manage ourselves, manage our growth and personal development as an INTP, to connect ourselves to the universe and ourselves, and a bit of absurdity along the way. So click down below, bit.ly/cosmicintp. You can follow me at Let's Go C.NOTE, or you can follow the show, Dopamine, at dopamine.life, and subscribe over there. So with that, yeah, we're done. So I appreciate you guys. Again, let me know in the comments, how are you coasting and how is that affecting you? And let me know. So I'll catch you guys next time on Dopamine. See ya.